Today, I will be rebuilding the Arizona Cardinals and attempting to win a Super Bowl within the next 5 seasons. Obviously, one of the core aspects of this rebuild will be quarterback Kyler Murray. I will most likely be using him the entire time. We also have Marquise Brown and DeAndre Hopkins, so he has some solid receivers. Most of the O-line is a scheme fit, but we're probably going to look to maybe upgrade that. But we do also have Zach Ertz, who is pretty old, so we will probably need a new tight end pretty soon. The defensive side of the ball here definitely needs some work. We pretty much need an entire new defensive line because JJ Watt is pretty old and the other two are not great. We do have Budda Baker at strong safety, who is 92 overall, but at the second corner spot, Wilson is a 68, so that's definitely going to need to change. We may have to get some new outside linebackers. The middle linebackers at least have star dev traits for right now, and the number one corner is only an 82 overall. We may need to sign a new one of those two. But for right now, let's get season 1 out of the way so we can jump to our first offseason. Okay, in the first season, we at least make the playoffs. We finished 9-8 and get in as a wild card. Kyler Murray did throw for 4,800 yards, 33 touchdowns to 16 interceptions. On the ground, James Conner ran in for 6 touchdowns and 900 yards. What about receiving? DeAndre Hopkins caught 111 balls for 1,400 yards and 9 touchdowns. Hollywood Brown caught 7, and Rondale Moore caught 9 from the slot. Zaven Collins led the team with 124, and what I like to see is our other middle linebacker there, Isaiah Simmons, with 121, so they're pretty good right now. JJ Watt did get 15.5 sacks and interceptions. Zaven Collins got 3. Tom Brady throws for almost 5,600 yards and 48 touchdowns, which also led the league, and in interceptions, Matt Stafford threw 21 of them. Running the ball, Jonathan Taylor ran for over 2,000 yards and 19 touchdowns, but Ezekiel Elliott with 27 touchdowns. Okay. Receiving, Cooper Kupp caught 131 balls for almost 2,000 yards and 22 touchdowns. Devin White led the league in tackles with 151. In sacks, that goes to Von Miller with 26.5, and interceptions is a three-way tie between Levante David, JC Jackson, and Jalen Ramsey. Well, let's see if we can win a playoff game here in season 1 of this rebuild. And we do not. They drop us in the wildcard round 35-27. And the first Super Bowl in this rebuild will be between the 7-seed Ravens and the 5-seed Buccaneers. And Super Bowl 57 goes to the Ravens 32-28 as Lamar Jackson wins Super Bowl MVP. Before I jump into this re-signing period, I want to show you guys I have $125 million in cap, but 28 players are ready to negotiate their contracts. So this team could look a lot different. I said this team could be a lot different going into next year, and as of right now, JJ Watt, Rodney Hudson, and Byron Murphy Jr. are all refusing to sign contracts. I was able to bring back a couple people, but we're going to go into free agency with $110 million, so we should be able to at least land a few people. Here are the 5 players that I have targeted here in the first stage of free agency. We're going to go after Deron Payne, JJ Watt, Rock Ya-Sin, Akeem Hicks, and Tyrell Crosby. It looks like we landed Deron Payne, Rock Ya-Sin, and Akeem Hicks, but we did not get JJ Watt back, but Tyrell Crosby is still here. It looks like JJ Watt has decided to sign with Cincinnati. And here are the next 5 contracts. I'm going to try to get Byron Murphy Jr. back. I'm also going to try to get Bryce Callahan just in case we don't get Byron Murphy, but if we land both of them, that's fine. And then we have Tyquan Lewis, Tyrell Crosby still, and Gardner Minshew to be our backup quarterback. And we do get Bryce Callahan, but it does not look like we are bringing back Byron Murphy. It looks like he has signed a contract elsewhere. It looks like Byron Murphy is headed to the Raiders. His interest in signing with us was pretty low. And now I've got 5 more players targeted. I want to bring in Kevin King to be our 3rd corner. I want to bring in Malik Reed because we don't have any real right outside linebacker on the roster right now. Also going to try to bring in Cody Ford, Ethan Pocic, and Gardner Minshew still. I also hope I did not butcher that dude's name. We did land Kevin King. We also got Cody Ford, the center that I was trying to get, and we finally got Gardner Minshew. And I've now advanced to stage 2, and it looks like Malik Reed is still not signed. And here is the next set of free agents I'm trying to bring in. Kareem Jackson to be our backup safety, Tyler Bass, Blake Gillikin to be our kicker and punter, and then Malik Reed is still here. We do land Kareem Jackson, Tyler Bass, and Blake Gillikin, but we are still waiting on Malik Reed, and now there are other teams in the mix here. So I've upped the offer. Let's go ahead and skip past this, and let's see if he has signed with us now. Is he going to be over here finally? Yes, he is. So this is our entire free agent class. This is one of the biggest classes I think I've signed. And it looks like we will be picking at 19 in this draft. And Seattle has the number 1 pick. We will see who they use that on, and then we will jump to our pick. But for right now, with the number 1 pick in this draft, the Seahawks take wide receiver Derek Herrick out of Ole Miss. And with our first round pick, we're going to start to build up the offensive line. We're going to take right tackle Wendell Allen out of Oklahoma State, and he will be a hidden depth trait for us. And in the second round, like I said, we're going to build up our offensive line. We're going to take center Chip Reichart out of Auburn, and he will also have a hidden depth trait. This pick might be a bit of a reach because he is projected as a day 3, but I really like his ratings: A pursuit, B tackle, B block shedding, and he also has B awareness. So here in the third round, we're going to take outside linebacker Brad Turner from Utah State. He will have a normal depth trait. Okay, so the Turner pick was not a very good one, but we did get a 72 overall right tackle and a 73 overall center. And then if you've never watched my rebuilds, I picked the first 3 rounds and I let the CPU draft the last few. But they took a 68 overall corner, a 67 overall receiver, a 68 overall left end in the 6th round. I feel like that's decent. And a 66 overall middle linebacker in the 7th. Here is the starting offense heading into Season 2. We are obviously starting the center and the right tackle that we just drafted, but it looks like the CPU also managed to draft a hidden depth trait wide receiver in the later rounds. And here is now the starting defense. To me, this looks a little bit better than last year, mainly the defensive line. Obviously, we lost JJ Watt, but we did get Deron Payne, who's a lot younger and can still develop into a 90+ overall. Last season, we went 9-8 and got in as a wildcard team. Let's see if we can do any better this year. Well, we once again went 9-8, but this time we were the 9th offense in points per game and the 24th defense, so we completely flipped. Kyler Murray did have one hell of a year though: 5,200 yards, 41 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. On the ground, James Conner ran for 900 yards and 12 touchdowns. And receiving, DeAndre Hopkins got 10 touchdowns and Marquise Brown got 12. Zach Ertz at his 11th season getting 8 touchdowns. Isaiah Simmons once again leading the team in tackles. I believe he led it last year, and Zaven Collins is right behind him. And in sacks, that goes to Tyquan Lewis, who got 8, and interceptions goes to Zaven Collins, Rock Ya-Sin, and Isaiah Simmons, who all got 2. Trevor Lawrence leads the league in passing yards with 5,800. It looks like a rookie Jeremiah Rowe threw for 56. EA's definitely got to fix these simulation stats. Josh Allen threw 46 touchdowns, and so did Patrick Mahomes. They both led the league. And interceptions, Matt Ryan threw 23. Let's see what happened on the ground. Derrick Henry ran for 2,000 yards and 17 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs ran in for 20. And receiving, Cooper Kupp caught 122 passes for 1,700 yards and 17 touchdowns. But it looks like Amon-Ra St. Brown caught 20 touchdowns. Isaiah Simmons actually led the league in tackles with 154, in sacks Aaron Donald with 24.5, and in interceptions Chidobe Awuzie and AJ Terrell both got 7. And the Buffalo Bills get their first Super Bowl win in franchise history, defeating the Panthers 27-17. And it looks like Isaiah Simmons is now up for a new contract. We are going to make him this offer, and hopefully he comes back, and he is. And here's the contract I'm going to offer Marquise Brown so we can keep him around for the next 4 seasons, and he is going to re-sign. And from here, I'm going to let everyone else walk. We're only going to bring back those couple people. There were only 10 people up for a new contract. So I've seen Justin Herbert and Justin Jefferson hit free agency before in Madden 23, but I've never seen Joe Burrow hit free agency. So in free agency, I'm only offering 2 contracts this year: Rashawn Gary and Trayvon Diggs. I have burned through a lot of our cap, but if we can get these guys, that is going to be huge. Obviously, Trayvon Diggs is not a scheme fit, but I don't think it's going to matter that much. And we landed Trayvon Diggs, but we did not get Rashawn Gary. I was really hoping to get him so I wouldn't have to draft an outside linebacker. And in case anyone was curious, Joe Burrow has signed with the Giants. And Rashawn Gary decided to go with Carolina over coming to Arizona. So usually I don't show this, but there were a few big names in free agency. Nick Bosa is going to Detroit, Joe Burrow, as you saw, is going to the Giants, and Justin Herbert is headed to the Saints. And in this draft, the Jets have the number 1 pick. We pick at 18, but let's see who the Jets take with the number 1 pick. They take quarterback Greg Carnegie out of Portland State. And with our first round pick here at pick 18, I'm going to take left outside linebacker Tracy Thurman out of UCLA. And let's see, he is going to have a normal depth trait. And here in the second round, I'm going to take right guard Terrence Wilson. He will most likely play left guard. Please be a hidden depth trait, and he is. And there's no one that I'm a huge fan of here in the third round, so I'm going to trade this pick to Minnesota to pick up a 3 and a 6 for next year. And we didn't get a hidden depth trait with Tracy Thurman, but he's still a 75 overall. We did get a hidden depth trait with Terrence Wilson. And then the CPU took Cortez Bayer, a running back, in the 4th round. That's 72 overall. Does he have a hidden depth trait? No, he does not. And the rest of the class, they took a 68 overall left guard, a 64 overall left tackle, and a 68 overall defensive tackle. And here is the starting offense for Season 3. Now, Kyler Murray is now an X-Factor quarterback. And over on the defensive side, Thurman will start at left outside linebacker, and Isaiah Simmons is now a superstar dev trade. We've gone 9-8 the last 2 years. Can we finally improve and get back to the playoffs and try to make a Super Bowl run here in Season 3? Okay, we got much worse. We go 3-14. We have the worst offense in the league in points per game and in running the ball, and in defense we were 22nd in points per game. Kyler Murray throws for 4,600 yards, 31 touchdowns, and 20 interceptions. On the ground, Cortez Bayer ran in for a touchdown. It looks like James Conner may have gotten hurt because he only had 10 carries on the entire year. Okay, what happened at receiver? Marquise Brown, 1,100 yards and 6 touchdowns. DeAndre Hopkins, 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns. And Rondale Moore caught 8. This time it's Zaven Collins that leads the team in tackles with 126. What about in sacks? That goes to Tyquan Lewis with 7.5. And interceptions, Trayvon Diggs got 6. The auto-generated quarterback Jeremiah Rowe leads the league in passing yards in only his second year. What about touchdowns? That goes to Joe Burrow in New York with 47. And interceptions, Terrell Clayton, a quarterback for the Eagles, threw 22. So that is the only reason Kyler Murray did not lead the league in picks, is because the Eagles started a young quarterback that just threw a ton of them. Jonathan Taylor ran for almost 1,900 yards, and in touchdowns, Nick Chubb and Saquon Barkley both ran for 17. And receiving, Cooper Kupp once again led the league in receptions and in yards, and I'm assuming also in touchdowns. Well, he's tied with Kadarius Toney, but yes. I'm going to be honest, I have no idea who that guy is, and that could be pretty embarrassing depending how much you know about football. Divine Diablo, I really hope that's not his name, had 172 tackles. In sacks, Aaron Donald had 21.5, and interceptions, Trayvon Diggs, Denzel Ward, Kyle Duggar, and Darius Leonard all had 6. And Super Bowl 59 goes to the Dallas Cowboys, who are led by Super Bowl MVP Dak Prescott. And it looks like Budda Baker is going to test free agency. Rondale Moore is also going to test free agency. This team could look a lot different next year. I did manage to convince Gardner Minshew to come back though, so we're letting a lot of people test free agency. I am going to let DeAndre Hopkins walk. He's starting to regress. He's down to a 91 overall, and I don't really want to pay him exactly what he wants. I was willing to pay that to Rondale Moore, but he didn't want to come back. Alright, so I've thrown out some big offers here at free agency. We're going to try to land Kyle Pitts and Jamar Chase. Neither is a scheme fit, but I don't think that's going to matter when they're 98 and 95 overall. We are trying to bring back Budda Baker. I'm trying to bring in Jalen Phillips and Christian Darrisaw. And we managed to land all 5 of those guys, so hopefully our team's a little bit better. I'm glad to get Budda Baker back, and I'm really glad to replace DeAndre Hopkins with Jamar Chase. And it appears that 3-14 was enough to get us the 2nd overall pick, so let's see who Cincinnati takes with the number 1 pick. The Bengals are going to go with cornerback Manny Cormier out of Baylor. And for the number 2 pick, I'm actually going to trade it to Denver and pick up pick number 8 and pick 40 in the next round. There was just no one at the top of the draft that I felt like we really needed, and they're going to take defensive tackle Stan Slate. He was the top player left, but I don't need a defensive tackle. The thing we really need, I think, is an edge rusher, because I've needed one for several years since we got rid of JJ Watt, and I've just never managed to land one in free agency or find one in the draft that I liked. So it may be a bad decision, but I'm going to draft based on need better than the best player available. I'm going to take Markel Woodard out of Michigan, and he is going to have a hidden dev trade, so at least we got that. And in the second round, I'm going to take strong safety Amani Worthy to back up our safety Budda Baker, because we don't have anyone behind him, and he is going to be a normal dev trade. And with the 8th pick in the second round that we got from Denver, I'm going to take running back Rodney Carr out of Clemson. He was the fastest running back in his class, and he is going to have a hidden dev trade as well. And just for some more depth at the O-line, I'm going to take center Alex Iglesias out of Notre Dame, and he has A awareness, so he is going to have a hidden dev trade. So this might be a little bit of a risk, but I'm going to take right outside linebacker Mark Green out of Ohio State. Everything we know about him mostly is in between certain ranges, but he was the 4th fastest linebacker at the combine, or right outside linebacker at the combine, and the 6th fastest at his pro day. So we're going to take Mark Green, and he has a normal dev trade. Alright, looking at the draft recap, I don't think we did bad. Markel Woodard is a 73 overall. Amani Worthy isn't great, he's only a 71, but Rodney Carr was a 76 overall running back with a hidden dev trait. Alex Iglesias also had a hidden dev trait, and then Mark Green was a normal dev trait. Let's see how the CPU did. They took a 69 overall corner, a 65 middle linebacker, a 66 right end, a 65 right tackle, and a 68 wide receiver. And I don't usually do this, but we're a little thin at receiver right now, so I'm going to sign John Mechie. Here is our starting offense going into Season 4. Kyler Murray is back down to a superstar depth trade after being an X-Factor last season, but we've added Jamar Chase and Kyle Pitts. Here are the starters over on the defensive side of the ball, and it looks like the corner that the CPU took is actually a hidden depth trait, which is actually very, very helpful for us, and we are starting Woodard at right end. Alright, we can't do much worse than what we did last season when we went 3-14, so let's see if Season 4 goes any better. Alright, I don't know if Arizona is cursed or what. We have a 91 overall offense and an 87 overall defense. We managed to go 9-8 and sneak into the wild card. We finished with the 18th ranked offense in points per game and the 27th ranked defense. Kyler Murray throws for 5,000 yards, 33 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions. On the ground, rookie Rodney Carr did run in for 11 touchdowns, and receiving Jamar Chase in his first year in Arizona had 1,200 yards and 6 touchdowns. Marquise Brown had 9 touchdowns, and Kyle Pitts gets 7. Isaiah Simmons led the team in tackles with 133, and sacks goes to Daron Payne with 11.5, and in interceptions, Jalen Thompson got 5. Josh Allen leads the league with 5,400 yards, nearly 5,500, and touchdowns goes to Wendell Carrington, who threw 47 for Detroit, and in interceptions, Tua, now the quarterback of the Steelers, threw 20 of them, along with Jared Goff, who is now the quarterback of the Titans. Najee Harris ran for 2,000 yards and 20 touchdowns, both of those lead the league, and receiving Cooper Kupp caught 146 passes for 2,000 yards and 17 touchdowns. I imagine all of those led the league, and they did. Kyrie Lowry for the Titans, who was a second-year player, led the league in tackles with 148. Sacks goes to Nick Bosa with 23.5, and interceptions goes to Jalen Johnson, who got 6. Well, we get into the playoffs as a 6th seed, so let's see if we can make some sort of Cinderella run for a Super Bowl. And we do not. We get bounced in the first round 31-21. And the Carolina Panthers win Super Bowl 60, getting their franchise's first Super Bowl 41-35 over Denver. And one thing I just noticed is that left end Markel Woodard, our left end that we drafted last year, won Defensive Rookie of the Year. And no one in re-signing actually refused our contract, so everyone I wanted to bring back, we are bringing back. And here are the 3 contracts I have offered here in this free agency. I'm going to try to get Sauce Gardner to put on the other side of Trayvon Diggs. He's not very interested in us, so I had to give him a ton of money. Tyler Lockett, who I'm hoping we land, but he has some top offers from other teams. And then I'm trying to get Jermaine Johnson. He is a left end, and I know Woodard is a left end, but I can possibly put him on the other side. And the only one we land is Tyler Lockett, and it looks like the other 2 have signed elsewhere. This time I've only offered 1 new contract, and that would be to cornerback Mike Hughes. He is a scheme fit, but he has some top offers from other places. So let's see if he takes our offer, and he does not. So now I'm trying to land DJ Reed. He is the best corner left. He is not a scheme fit anymore, but we definitely need help there. So let's see if he takes our contract, and he does not as well. So just to recap, I offered a contract to Sauce Gardner, who didn't sign with us, Mike Hughes, who didn't sign with us, and DJ Reed. And DJ Reed actually had a little bit of interest. I understand these 2 because he's in the yellow, and then Sauce Gardner had no interest in signing with us. I was just offering him a ton of money. So we still have $52 million in cap space, but there is no big name free agents left for us to go after, so I guess we will just jump to the draft. And we're going to trade for right end Leonard Williams. We only have to give up a 2027 third round pick. We are also going to make this trade. The Chargers are willing to trade us Joey Bosa for a first-round pick this year, a first-round pick next year, and a second-round pick this year, and we are going to do that since we are going all in to win the Super Bowl here in Season 5. And we're going to make one more trade. I'm trading for Sean Murphy-Bunting for a second-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and a seventh-round pick. And the last trade we're going to make is I'm going to trade away our third-round pick to the 49ers for Ben Rosen and 2 draft picks in this year that the CPU will get to use. So as you just saw, I traded away all 3 first-round picks for this year, and I think all of them for next year too, but it doesn't really matter. We're going all in on this season. But the CPU didn't have a bad draft. They did take a 71 overall wide receiver in the 6th round. So here's the offense headed into the 5th and final season, and we pretty much pulled our Los Angeles Rams and traded away our entire future to try to win a Super Bowl in this season. Here are the defensive starters. Daron Payne is now an X-Factor. We added Joey Bosa, and we also added Leonard Williams, but he is currently injured, but he's only going to miss 1 week. So this will be it. This is the 5th and final season. We are a 90 overall team. If we don't at least make the playoffs and make a deep playoff run, I think Arizona's just cursed in Madden 23. I think Arizona might just be cursed in Madden 23. They could be this year's Chargers team. Last year, the Chargers, a lot of the time, no matter how good you made the team, were never a good team. This is a 92 overall team, and we went 7-10. So obviously, this rebuild is a failure. We failed to win even a single playoff game, but hopefully you guys still enjoyed it, and I will talk to you guys next time.